Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today, April 26th, or 26th, that was 3 days ago, 29th. I'm still on a little bit of the April 26th high that half of us knuckleheads are still on, as you can tell. I'm gonna do the next part of my top 100, favorite films of all time, and, so I'm just going to get started instead of rambling on, because I know if I start talking about this particular hockey team, I won't shut up. So number 40 is particularly a very important film for me growing up, because I was, unfortunately, a victim of bullying, but of course I'm only a kid, so I can't, like, very, very young. I couldn't do anything about it, and didn't really do anything about it. Not as epic as this guy did. And it is kind of funny because it is a remake of the director's 1976 film, but this is more directed at children and teenagers, and I think we can all agree it's an absolute classic, and that of course is 1984's The Karate Kid. What can I say about this that hasn't been said? I've said that a few times, but there's a lot of movies on my list that don't really need an explanation, but this is a fantastic movie. This is number 40 if anybody's wondering. I've never been able to pronounce the director's last name, but of course he directed Rocky. Anyway, think of it, this is basically a remake of his award-winning film. But you know, it's a fantastic film. Same premise, just more directed at children and teenagers. Ralph Macchio is fantastic as Daniel LaRusso, who played him 3 times. And even though the third movie really sucked, I never got tired of seeing him, and especially as with the late Pat Morita, who of course played Mr. Miyagi, one of probably the most beloved characters of the 80s, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor Oscar for this film. The Cobra Kais are awesome, particularly, oh, excuse me, Martin, is it Love or Club? I can't remember. Well, you know him as John Reese. He was creepy. And this also has a very young Elizabeth Shue. I think this was one of her very first movies. And she was still a cutie pie back then. And you can probably see her right there. But yeah, this is a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, there is seriously something wrong with you. I say that to my friend Scott because he was born in '84, and half of the movies I love in the '80s he hasn't seen. I mean, until he met me, he'd never seen The Goonies. What the fuck's up with that? So there we go. Number 40, The Karate Kid. Number 39, it's directed by a few different people, or the different episodes are, and it was a fantastic film. It was great visuals and great cast. And that is 2005's Sin City. And there's just, you got, well, like Robert Rodriguez is behind this, but I think Quentin Tarantino directed one part. And of course, the cast is fantastic, like Bruce Willis, Mickey Rourke, who is actually an actor I don't really care for, and I thought he was fantastic in this film. And then you got Jessica Alba, you got Clive Owen, you got the late Brittany Murphy, Rosie O'Dawson, my god, she looked hot in this. The little Oriental lady who doesn't say a word in this, I thought she was fantastic. I've seen her in a couple other movies where she's awesome. The girl from Gilmore Girls, which is a show I hate, but I liked her in this. Benicio del Toro, actor I don't really care for, but I didn't even recognize him in this, and he was great. Elijah Wood, Nick Stahl, Michael Madsen, Carla, you know, the lady who played in The Watchmen, and Michael Clark Duncan. It's just a fantastic cast, and it was a fantastic story, and the visuals are fantastic. Everything about this movie is fantastic. So I can't really go too much more on this. I want to get the graphic novel. I really want to read it. So there we go. Number 39, Sin City. Number 38, I actually saw for the first time back in 1998 because I had seen this particular film, not this one, but another one in the theater, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And I did my school work experience at a video store, and I was telling the guys, about this particular film that I watched, and they were like, well, if you like this, you have to check this out, and I did, and it's one of my it's probably my favorite foreign film of all time. That, of course, is 1991's The Killer, directed by John Woo. And the movie I was talking about was The Replacement Killers, which I was like, dude, this is a fucking phenomenal film. It's very violent, but it is fantastic. One thing I love about the John Woo films like this, Hard Boiled, even Face Off, is he makes the gunplay basically like ballet, so to me it's not overly violent. It's like watching a ballet. Well, I don't know because I've never watched it, but you know what I mean. Chow Yun-fat is fucking awesome in this film. Danny Lee is right there. He was fantastic. So you can, if you haven't seen this, you'd be in for a treat. Hong Kong cinema is fantastic, particularly the action films. But yeah, this is an absolute great movie. I know a lot of people bitched about the Blu-ray transfer on this. Well, the funny thing is, I found this a lot better than the DVD transfer I had. I thought the DVD transfer was pretty shitty, and I thought the Blu-ray was pretty good. I don't know why people complain. But yeah, number 38, The Killer. And number 37 is another big movie to me growing up. I got to see this in the theater. Or, well, not in the theater, actually at the drive-in in May of 1989. And it's from one of the best film series ever created, and I think you all know, it's my absolute favorite film. I've said that so many times. That, of course, is 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I've been an Indiana Jones fanatic since 1984 when I got to see Temple of Doom. And then this was the very first one I got to see in the theater, and I thought this was fantastic, even better than Raiders. Of course, directed by Steven Spielberg, and the executive producer is George Lucas. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic movie. You have Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, who played Indiana Jones and Professor Henry Jones. They were fantastic together. They had a great chemistry. That moment right there is my favorite moment in the movie, where they go, "Dad, what? Dad, what? Dad, what?" I love that. And this was actually, though Highlander I saw in 1986, this was really my the intro to Sean Connery. And this is my favorite film and my favorite performance of his, beating even The Untouchables and any James Bond movie. And of course you have a great villain of Julian Glover, who we all know from Empire Strikes Back, and the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only. He was fantastic. It was great to see John Rhys Davies and the late Denham Elliott back in this. Alison Doody, who actually played a Bond girl in A View to a Kill, she's in this. She was really good. And of course, River Phoenix playing a young Indiana Jones, and I think we all got a kick out of the fact that they showed how Indiana Jones got the scar, because we all know Harrison Ford in real life has the scar in his chin. I thought that was a fantastic touch. It's a movie I don't have to rewatch the entire Indy series to watch, though I really rewatch. Money falling. I watch the Indiana Jones series a lot. It is one of my, even the fourth one. I don't care what anybody says, I like this, but it is a fantastic movie. It's my dad's favorite as well. I never get tired of watching this. So there we go, 37, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Number 36 came out in 1994. It was on delay for about a year because, unfortunately, the lead actor of the film, he was tragically killed on set. And I think we all know what that is, so I don't really have to say much. And that number 36 is 1994's The Crow. This was my very first intro to the graphic novel world, because I bought the graphic novel and I loved it. It's just a fantastic movie directed by Alex Proyas, who went on to direct Dark City, which is another fantastic movie. The cast is great, of course, the late Brandon Lee, of course, who was killed tragically on set, almost about 4 months shy of the 20th anniversary of his father, which makes it even more creepy. Ernie Hudson, who is great, Michael Wincott, who is fantastic. One of my favorite aspects of this film is, of course, the choice of music and the score. The score by Graham Revell, who I think is a composer, who is very underrated, though he does a lot of stuff. I think he is very underrated and doesn't get the credit he deserves. And the music, like, you have the Nine Inch Nails, you have The Cure, you have the Rollins Band, Pantera, it goes on. It's my favorite soundtrack of all time. If you ask me what's my favorite score soundtrack, The Crow would be in my top 5. I do like the song It Can't Rain All the Time, though it gets a lot of flack. But yeah, it is a fantastic movie. It's visually stunning, though it's a very dark film. I think my parents only watched this once because they couldn't deal, they thought it was in bad taste, you know, watching, you know, this movie where he died on set. But it's the same thing with The Dark Knight. They will not watch The Dark Knight. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I totally recommend it. It's great. And the graphic novel, if you haven't read the graphic novel, you should. It's absolutely epic. There we go, number 36, The Crow. 35, I actually had the honor of seeing this in the theater, not when it came out, because I wasn't born yet, but I got to see it when they re-released it on Halloween of 2003, and that is 1979's Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. I don't really have to go into that very much, but it's a scary ass film. It's fantastic. Sigourney Weaver is probably one of the greatest film heroines of all time. I know I made the mistake of rambling. I'm already 12 minutes in, so crap. Just try to talk as fast as I can. I've only got a couple more to go. But yeah, so everything about this is great. The alien is great. Everything about this is great. So I will just move on. So there we go. 35, Alien. 34 was the very first film I saw in the theater back in June of '82, and I was only a year and a half old, but my parents could not find a babysitter, so they had to take me, thinking I'd fall asleep. Seemed to forget that this is the same child that at 7 months old they put in front of the television with Superman playing, and I watched the whole 2-hour film. And this is, like Doctor Who, very big for me, but this has, I've been a fan of, obviously, since 1982, and that is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which is a sequel to the episode Space Seed. Ricardo Montalban will never be replaced as Khan. That's one of the things about the reboot sequel. We don't want them to remake this movie. It is a fantastic film. I mean, you don't even have to be a Trekkie to even be a fan of this movie. It is that great. It's one of the best science fiction films of all time. I could ramble on about this movie too, but I won't. But yeah, the cast is fantastic. Epic score by James Horner. So I have to move on. 34, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Number 33 ended up being like one of the biggest hits of 1999, and I think the biggest surprise, and that, of course, was The Matrix, directed by the Wachowski brothers. This was absolutely epic to see in the big screen. I wanted to see it because I love science fiction, and it looked really cool, and really cool design. And I'm a fan of Keanu Reeves, so there we go. But yeah, it was epic to see this, and y'all know the story. I gotta keep going. So there we go. 33, The Matrix. 32 is a movie. I like Star Trek 2. I could ramble on. I can make a whole 15-minute video on this film. That is 1997's The Fifth Element, directed by Luc Besson. Fantastic visuals. Cast is fantastic. The opera singing lady is fantastic. Everything. I gotta keep going. Shit! I didn't want to do this. Bruce Willis is awesome. Everything about this movie is awesome. Rebought so many times. VHS, DVDs, special edition DVD, and of course Blu-ray. So I got 30 seconds left. I gotta keep going. So lastly, 31, another graphic novel movie, and again in the theater, was fantastic, and that was 2006's V for Vendetta. It was absolutely epic to see this in the theater. And great graphic novel by Alan Moore. These two were fantastic. Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving, they were fantastic together. It was absolutely great. And this was my intro to Steven Fry, who I've loved ever since this movie. So, yep, 31, V for Vendetta, and I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry about the ramble. I hate it when I do that. But I will have a couple more videos up today, particularly my Doctor Who end of the month update, and I gotta go because I don't want to redo this video again. So I will see you in the next video, which probably will be up soon. So, bye. Yeah, sorry guys.